Hey y'all, Myria Com here again. Thank you for being here to listen to me ramble about stuff. It's not going to be a pop culture related topic yet. I promise I will get to that at some point. I just have not had the mental energy really. And I haven't been consuming a lot of pop culture that's interesting to talk about recently. I did recently finish Peacemaker Season 2 with my sister and brother in law. And there are some things in that show I could talk about, maybe. If y'all would be interested, just let me know. Otherwise, I will figure something else out. So, yeah. So, I am not trying to do this exactly at work, but it seems like I'm turning into, like, one of the token LGBTQ plus people. One of the token ones. I only say that because the things I have been being involved with on campus outside of like my day-to-day job have all been related to that so far. So, ta-da. I'm going to be involved in a panel in a couple of weeks. It's just going to be like an online Zoom panel kind of thing. But an online panel about being LGBTQ plus on campus. And we had a planning meeting, I guess is what you could call it, today with the organizer and the panelists. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because it kind of made me realize something. I kind of had already been coming to this realization, but it just kind of solidified it for me a little bit. If you listened to my last recording about the LGBTQ plus stuff I've been doing on campus, I was involved in a sort of more informal panel with the student LGBTQ plus group on campus. And I mentioned that I kind of felt a little out of place during that because it seemed like all of the older folks who were there were I'm gonna say just gay or just lesbians. And what I mean by that is like I don't know. I'm like, I already talked about this, but like, I am not a lesbian. I am not gay. I am, first of all, non-binary, and second of all, I'm on the asexual scale. I am demisexual, which means I do not feel sexual attraction to people unless I already am close with them. So I can't like look at someone walking down the street and be like, oh, they're really hot. I want to have sex with them. That doesn't happen to me. I did not really realize that was a thing, an actual thing that happened to other people until, I don't know. It feels like it's just a thing made up for TV and movies. That's what I always thought when I was younger. I was like, this is not a real thing. But I am aware that I am wrong and that it is a real thing. I just feel it differently, and I cannot experience sexual attraction in that way, so it sounds insane to me. I'm not saying it is insane. It is normal for a lot of people. Anyway, so I, in the last time I was involved with LGBTQ plus stuff on campus, I felt kind of out of place. And I've been thinking about it in the back of my mind a lot since then, and it's kind of silly, right? First of all, for the most part, I'm never gonna see most of the people I'm interacting with in those instances again, or I won't see them very often. It's not like they're people I work with on a daily basis. The people who are in like the faculty and staff group are like for the vast majority of them, they are either on the academic side or they are like background people, kind of more like me, where they are in HR and things like that. So, like, I'm not going to interact with them very much, if at all, on a regular basis. So it should not matter to me what they think. And additionally, and I don't think about this very often, which sounds ridiculous because I work at a university. I work on a university campus, but I don't think about students very often. And that's because I don't work with students on a regular basis. Um, I'm not an instructor or a professor or anything like that. I don't work in a student facing position. My position is, since I'm in extension, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that before, that's more of like a community education side of things. And I'm not even one of the people who goes out and does community education. I am a background person. I'm administrative assistant. I don't interact with like the general public very much at all. And even though I am on campus, I am on the third floor of a 3-floor building, and there are no classrooms on the floor I work on. And the vast majority of my interaction with students is students who are lost and who are trying to find something. And usually it's, oh, they're in the wrong building, so that's why they're so lost. Or they're on the wrong floor, because there's pretty much no reason for students to come up to my floor. At the other end of the hall, there is an academic advisor, so on occasion there will be students up on my floor to see him as well. But anyway, so I don't think about students very often, but something I should think about, and I'm trying to be more mindful of this in terms of, I'm going to call it extracurricular interactions, extracurricular activities, like being involved in the queer groups on campus and things like that. I should be thinking more about students. I should be thinking more about, even though I don't interact with them that much, when I do stuff like this panel I'm going to be part of in a couple weeks, where theoretically students will be involved, students will come to listen to the panel, I should be thinking about how what I am going to say is going to impact students. And generally speaking, younger generations are less judgmental, especially about stuff like this. Generally speaking, my understanding is that Gen Z and Gen Alpha are more, if not accepting, maybe it's just that they don't really care about queerness in the same way. Again, generally speaking. And what I should be thinking about when I am being involved in these kinds of things is I should be thinking about how it's going to impact students who are there to listen. I should not focus on how it's going to impact me as much, because I don't care. And that's the other thing. I don't care what other people think of me, really. I mean, I do to an extent. I would like people to think I'm a generally decent person, but beyond that, I don't really care what people think of me. I really shouldn't care about if someone dislikes me just because of who I am. Why should I care? Why should I want to be involved with them at all? So I am trying to be a little bit more open during this upcoming panel. During the practice today, I definitely, again, kind of felt like I was a little bit of an outsider. The other two people who are on the panel are, I know for sure at least one of them is a woman. In both of their signatures, they have their pronouns and it's she, her, so I'm just okay, well, they're women. They identify as women, they use the pronouns she, her, and they have partners who are also women, so I'm assuming lesbians. But anyway, again, assumptions are bad. I'm just making those assumptions. So, and when they gave their backstories, or backstories is not the right word, we kind of, at the end of our, planning meeting, just kind of gave, our coming out stories, sort of. And I don't know why we did that, other than just to get to know each other a little bit better, but they were both I'm not going to tell their stories, that's not my place. But anyway, I just kind of, again, was getting the feeling, oh my gosh, I'm the weird one again, I'm the one who's not just a gay person, whatever. So, but I was just like, I'm just gonna tell my story the way it happened to me, and who cares what people think about it? Like, they can laugh at me, whatever. I don't, you know, what am I gonna do? Whatever. If they never want to talk to me again, I guess they never want to talk to me again. I never didn't know them before anyway, so so I kind of told my like coming out story of, well, I was raised in a conservative household and I didn't know there was anything other than gay and straight, so I came out as a lesbian, but that is not correct, and all of this stuff. And as time went on, like my parents were not super supportive, so that was a whole thing. But you move on. You have to move on, or else you either become not yourself or you move on, basically. And I decided to move on. And as I did more research and more reading and all of the and stuff, I realized I'm demisexual, and then I kind of explained that a little bit and all of that. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more. I'm gonna have to like nail down a better definition of that before this panel. And when I say better, I just mean something a little bit easier to explain, because I just know that that is what I am, and I don't think about it very often. So I'm always like, oh, yeah, other people don't really understand this. I have to explain it whenever I'm in, like, company with new people, or I'm in a setting like this where it's a topic. And so I was like, I tried to explain it in an okay way. And the organizer was like, oh, I've never heard of that. And I didn't realize that was a sexuality people had and all of that. So, I mean, that was like a generally positive interaction. Why could I not think of the word positive? That was wild. So that was a generally positive interaction. So I assume it will be like that, but whether it is or not doesn't really matter. Like, the fact at all that they are having this, even though I live in a conservative state, and even though we live in a risky political climate for this kind of stuff, I'm just kind of like, I think I'm just gonna be me and say what I want to say, and think about it more in terms of, this is to help students be seen. This is to help students see that there are elder queer people. I have to call myself that, don't I? Even though I am not that old, but I feel like it in those terms. I mean, I'm significantly older than college students, than the traditional college student, I suppose. So, but this is more about like being an elder queer for younger queers, and even for like students generally. And it should be worth talking about, and it should be worth showing them that it's okay to be who you are, even if it's different, even if it's something no one else has heard of. So, I don't know. There are times where I'm like, but I'm not that important, so why should I be that person, Why should I be a role model, or why should I be explaining these things to other people? And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, maybe I should be, though. So, sort of interesting. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at and where I've gotten to. And basically, this is just me saying I am going to try and be more mindful about that going forward. I'm going to try and be, I don't know, like, as much as being non-binary and being demisexual are like important parts of my identity, I also they're just who I am. So it's not like I go out there and I constantly wear a non-binary flag or whatever, or I constantly wear non-binary colors or demisexual colors or anything like that. I don't. I'm not good at being involved in the queer community. Like I said, I'm trying to work on that. So, whatever. But the whole point is that I am going to try and be more mindful of the fact that I do work on a university campus, and I should be thinking about students when I do this stuff. Not about myself, not about even the other faculty and staff queer folks. I should be thinking about the students first and foremost. because they are the younger generation and they are the ones who are like going through it. I mean, we all are going through it right now, but they're the ones who are going through it at like a very vulnerable stage in life. And I should try and be more visible for their sake, if for nothing else. So I'm going to try and work on that. And when I do this panel in a couple weeks, I'm going to try and be just very open about who and what I am and what it means to me. Whether or not that matters to them, I don't know, but we'll find out. Like, there is a tiny part of me that is worried I would lose my job, but I don't think I would. Yet. Not in the... We're not quite that far gone yet, but, you know, it could happen. And if I do, I guess, oh well. Then I'm just screwed. But I'm just kind of tired of, like, pretending I'm not who I am. And it shouldn't be something to be afraid of. Even living in a conservative state, it should not be something that I am afraid of. And realistically, I am not. I am becoming less and less concerned with what other people think as time goes on, which I think is good and healthy. And so I am working on that. Oh, I think that's long enough. This has been my Riacom talking about, I don't know, trying to be more open about being queer. And I will try and chat at you again soon. Bye.